Imagine a world where suddenly everyone vanished into thin air. One moment, you're strolling down a bustling street. The next, you're the only visible soul in sight. But you're not alone. Everyone is still there. They've just become invisible. A world of unseen people going about their daily lives, unseen but still present, still living, still breathing. This isn't a tale spun from the threads of science fiction, but a fascinating exploration into the realm of what if. In this peculiar world, buildings would stand tall and empty, cars would drive themselves, and conversations would echo from unseen mouths. You'd feel the brush of a passerby, hear the rustle of clothes, but see no one. A strange dance of shadows and echoes, a world turned into a vast, eerie stage of invisible actors. But what would this mean for us? For our societies, our economies, our identities? For the way we live, work, and interact? Would we adapt, evolve, and find ways to make this new world work? Or would we collapse into chaos, a civilization undone by its invisibility? It's easy to think that invisibility would be a boon, a superpower even, but when the novelty wears off, the reality might be far from appealing. Human beings are social creatures. We thrive on interaction, on the exchange of smiles, nods, and handshakes. We rely on visual cues to communicate, to express, to connect. In a world where everyone is invisible, these vital threads of human connection would be severed. And then there's the practical side of things. How would you find your way in a crowd? How would you recognize your friends, your family, your own reflection in the mirror? How would businesses function, economies thrive, or law enforcement maintain order when everyone is invisible? Our world is built on visibility, on being seen, recognized, and acknowledged. An invisible world would turn these foundations upside down, creating a new reality where the unseen is the norm. Amidst this eerie quiet, chaos would ensue. With no visible presence, how would society function? Imagine trying to navigate your daily life, not knowing if someone is standing right next to you. How would you know if you're interrupting a conversation or simply talking to thin air? Social interactions would become a game of guesswork, a test of intuition rather than visual cues. Think about gatherings. Once bustling with energy and chatter, they would now be a symphony of disembodied voices. Without the ability to see each other, how would we know when to speak or listen? The art of conversation would require a whole new set of rules. And let's not forget about relationships. The ties that bind us are often forged through shared experiences and expressions. Without the ability to see smiles, tears, or expressions of surprise, how would we empathize with each other? Meetings, gatherings, and relationships would be disrupted, leading to a collapse of social norms. This invisible world would truly be a test of our ability to adapt and evolve. Businesses would suffer, a statement that rings true in our hypothetical world of invisibility. Suddenly, the bustling offices, factories, and retail outlets are devoid of any visible workforce. Would this lead to a collapse of industries? Imagine a restaurant with unseen chefs, a factory with invisible assembly line workers, or a retail store with no visible salespeople. It's a surreal scenario that could potentially lead to the downfall of various sectors, especially those heavily reliant on human interaction and visibility. Moreover, think about the financial transactions, the exchange of cash, the swipe of a card, the click of an online purchase. All these activities would be shrouded in uncertainty. Invisibility could turn financial transactions into a guessing game, leading to a potential economic crisis. The world of business and commerce thrives on trust, visibility, and predictability. In an invisible world, these pillars are shaken. The economy would plunge into uncertainty as transactions become impossible. Law enforcement and security would face unprecedented challenges. The very fabric of safety and surveillance would need to be rewoven in a world where everyone's invisible. How do you monitor what you cannot see? The traditional methods of surveillance, dependent on visual cues, would be rendered obsolete. The invisible criminal, an unnerving concept. Without the fear of being seen, would crime rates rise dramatically? Or conversely, could the eerie silence of invisibility deter potential wrongdoers, causing crime rates to fall? the task of law enforcement would undoubtedly become more complex. Policing would have to evolve beyond the visual, relying more heavily on sound, touch, and perhaps even scent. In this unseen world, the invisible cat and mouse game between law enforcement and criminals would take on a whole new dimension, a thrilling and chilling dance of shadows. How do you track down the invisible? Would crime escalate or decline? One can only speculate. The feeling of isolation would skyrocket. Picture this. You're standing in a room filled with the bustling sounds of conversation, the soft rustle of movement, the occasional laughter. But you see no one. You hear them, but you can't see them. You can't see their smiles, their frowns, or the light in their eyes when they speak. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Being surrounded, yet feeling utterly alone. The human psyche thrives on connection, on the exchange of emotions, and on the validation of existence that comes from being seen. Now, let's delve deeper into the labyrinth of the mind. The most profound impact of this invisibility would arguably be on our mental health. Anxiety, depression, and other psychological disorders could potentially surge. The constant uncertainty, the inability to visually connect with others, could lead to feelings of extreme loneliness and isolation, even when we know we're not technically alone. Therapists and counselors would face the daunting task of navigating this invisible world of emotions, where facial expressions and body language, crucial components of their toolkit, are no longer available. Let's shift gears and talk about identity. Who are we if not the sum of our experiences, our actions, and how others perceive us? In a world devoid of sight, the struggle for identity and recognition would take on a whole new dimension. We rely on visual cues to express our individuality, our style, our beliefs. Without these, we'd be left grappling with an identity crisis of astronomical proportions. So, how would we adapt? Perhaps we'd rely more on our voices, not just to communicate, but to express our individuality. Maybe we'd find new ways to make our presence felt, to assert our identity, to say, I am here, I exist. We'd essentially be reinventing the language of self-expression. How would individuals strive to maintain their sense of self without any visible markers? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? One that truly pushes the boundaries of our imagination, forcing us to rethink the very essence of what it means to be human. Would technology fill the void? That's the question we find ourselves pondering as we navigate this hypothetical landscape of invisibility. Just as it has in so many other aspects of our lives, technology could indeed step in to provide solutions in this invisible world. Picture this, a society where infrared sensors and thermal imaging become the norm. These technologies could allow us to detect each other's presence, even when the naked eye fails. Imagine wearable devices that emit distinctive sounds or vibrations to signal an individual's location. Or perhaps technology could create a visible presence in an invisible world through holographic projections. But let's not forget that human beings are remarkably adaptable. In the face of such an extraordinary shift, we might find ourselves developing heightened senses to compensate for our lost visibility. The sense of touch, hearing, smell, and even taste could take on new importance in our interactions. Communication too would likely evolve in fascinating ways. We might see a rise in the use of sound and vibration-based languages, or perhaps a resurgence of Morse code. We could even see an increased reliance on technology to facilitate communication, with text and voice messages becoming the primary means of interpersonal interaction. But beyond technology and heightened senses, there's another dimension to consider: social adaptation. Much like a colony of bats navigating the night sky, human societies might evolve new ways to communicate and connect. We might see a rise in community bonding, with people clustering together for safety and companionship. We might also see an increased emphasis on trust, empathy, and understanding as we navigate this unseen world together. So, while an invisible world presents undeniably enormous challenges, it also opens up a realm of intriguing possibilities. It forces us to think outside the box, to innovate, and to adapt. And in doing so, it reminds us of our incredible capacity for resilience and creativity. Perhaps societies would evolve new ways to communicate, relying on other senses to connect and understand each other. And perhaps, in this invisible world, we would find new ways to truly see each other. An invisible world would be a colossal shift in how we perceive and interact with each other. We've explored the potential chaos of social disarray, the economic uncertainties, and the unique challenges to safety and surveillance. We've delved into the psychological effects, such as the profound sense of isolation and the struggle to maintain one's sense of identity. And yet, amidst these challenges, we've also glimpsed at potential solutions, technological innovations that could create visibility in an invisible world, and the evolution of new social adaptations for communication. This journey into the unseen has opened up a world of possibilities and questions. How would humanity adapt to a world without sight? Would we crumble under the weight of invisibility, or would we rise to the occasion, evolving and adapting in ways we can't yet fathom? The answer lies in the depths of our imagination. If you enjoyed this journey into the unseen, don't forget to like and subscribe for more mind-bending explorations. Until next time, stay visible in your own unique way.